Let Jazz in, and then we will get going. Three more people. I'm just going to be admitting people as they go. Okay, let's get going. Well, in my script, it says, welcome to our latest session. I should say, welcome to the last session of LocalGov Drupal Week. If you made it this far, congratulations. Thank you very much for coming. So this session, it's very, very easy for me to tell you what this session is because it's there in front of you. It's 10 ways LocalGov Drupal has improved our websites. And this is from Lucia Jordan and Jamie Dixon at Wirral, which is going to be fantastic. So looking forward to this. And Jamie's very on brand as a director of Open Digital Cooperative. He's got the LocalGov Drupal yellow. Thank you for that, Jamie. It's not gone unnoticed. Thank you for running the session. I'm looking forward to hearing what you have to say. Before we get going, I just want to thank our event sponsor, Agile Collective. They're a worker-owned agency that designs, builds, and supports websites for purpose-driven organizations, including councils. They've been a leading technical partner for LocalGov Drupal since the beginning, since 2020, and they currently hold the developer contract for the project. Thank you also to our council and supplier subscribers, including Agile Collective, and our supporting partners, including Netcall, who've contributed so much to the project. Without your support, financially and otherwise, we wouldn't be able to do events like this and make LocalGov Drupal as awesome as it is. In terms of Zoom help, there is view options in the top right of your screen. I think that's the same for the browser and the app. If you want to toggle it, because it's a screen share, you probably want to stick with the default. It should be fairly sensible. And we should have room for questions at the end. So if you just drop them into the chat, and I'll just be monitoring that, and then I'll bring those up for Jamie and Lucia. Jamie and Lucia, over to you.
Okay. So thanks for joining us today, everyone. I'm Jamie Dixon, Digital Experience Lead at Wirral Council, and I work with Lucia Jordan, who's our Digital Experience Officer. And together, our job is to try and make our council websites easier to use. So today we're going to talk about some of the ways that LocalGov Drupal has helped improve our lives as content designers. It's made things easier for our colleagues and in council services, and it's made things easier for customers who use the website. So you might be using some of the things that we're talking about already. You might be at different stages with implementing LocalGov Drupal, but hopefully you can pick out one of two things that might be useful to try out on your own websites. We're going to look. Yeah,
James, just to say, you're not sharing anymore, just in case you need to reshare.
Right. Right, tell me when you can see that.
Yep. If you just put it into present mode, that should be all good.
Okay.
It's not in present mode yet, or in slideshow. No, you do it in this. Is it the top left one? From beginning?
From beginning, yeah, I've pressed that.
Ah.
Is that not coming through?
No, it's not. Is it coming through for you, but not for us? It's weird.
Yeah. So I've got share screen, entire screen. I'll share that, and then try that now. Is that working now?
Yes, that's working. You're all good.
Right. Okay. So yeah, I was saying that we're going to look at 10 things, but there are a lot of other ways LocalGov Drupal has helped us. But hopefully this might give you one or two ideas that you could try out on your own websites. After the session, we'll share links to resources that explain how you can set up some of these different pieces of functionality. And just the caveat, we are coming at this from the point of view of content designers. So we're not technical people. So we'll try and answer if you've got any technical questions about how things are set up. But if we can't get you an answer, we'll go away and get back to you after the session. So before we start, just a little bit of background about how we started with LocalGov Drupal. So I think it was back in 2022. We worked with WebKerl, who provide some really good support to supplement our own developers, and they also provide our hosting. And Colin Sherry at WebKerl mentioned to us about LocalGov Drupal and said, "Oh, you guys are on Drupal." We were looking at updating our website. We were on 7 and we needed to go on to 8. And he said, "Why don't you get involved?" So we went along to a few of the meetups and very quickly realized that this was the way forward for us. So we started the rebuild of the site in 2022, and in January 2023, we went live with our main corporate world.gov site on LocalGov Drupal. So everything we're talking about today are things that we've done since we went live with that site. It's probably useful to know how we're set up as well, because when we're talking about what we're doing on the site, people quite often say, "Well, how is your team set up?" So my role is delivery manager. I do some content as well. Lucia is our content designer who does most of our content work. We have 2 developers in-house with a web team leader, and then we also have support from WebKerl, which is really helpful for us because they've got a lot of experience in LocalGov Drupal. So they've been really helpful with suggesting things along the way. And there are some really good suppliers within the community who can really help you if you want to move forward with developing your site on the platform. Okay.
Okay, I'll kick off with paragraphs first. As content editors, you're all already used to using structured content such as your H1s, your H2s, etc. Inserting media files, images. We've discovered this really flexible way of adding different types of content to pages. So you can select a type of content in the list. Most common one I use on there is text. And you can basically add chunks or blocks of paragraph types, and you can move them around the page in order, i.e. drag and drop. This makes it easier to add content at a later date as well. So as you can see there, I've got 3 different content types. The middle one I've separated out as a table. So if that ever needs to be amended or deleted, it's just easy to go in and edit it. WebKerl recommended this feature to us at the planning stage because we were just going to go with the old-fashioned way of just having one long content page. But we find this a really good flexible way of separating out content.
So the next one is microsites. So back when we started with LocalGov Drupal, there were a lot of conversations with councils who had the same problem really, is different services wanted their own sites, which didn't necessarily fit with their own .gov sites. And we've experienced that we're all where services will go off and do their own things, and they'll commission external suppliers. And there was a real need for councils to have a tool available to build these smaller sites, which is where the idea for microsites came from. So in 2023, I joined a working group with a number of other councils and some of the core team from LocalGov Drupal and some of our suppliers to start developing the microsite platform. So the idea is numerous sites can be built and hosted on the same instance of LocalGov Drupal, which is really good because it saves time on updates. You can kind of do all your patching at once and all of your updates. And it also saves on the cost of hosting because you can host them all on the same instance. So the first one we built was this site, the right side of care, which was originally built, I think it was on Drupal 6 in 2014. This is the third version of the site, and this is for looked after children, young people, and the professionals who work with them. So there's all sorts of information on there about what happens if I go into care, what is fostering, what is adoption, what happens when I leave care. So it's a really useful resource for children looked after in Wirral. During the development, we got really good support from the team on Slack. We were helping to develop it, so there were a few issues we needed to iron out, and we got some really quick responses. And we were able to develop this site, which has got 3 basic content types. You've got a service page, and there's news and events. And I know that a lot of other councils have used this for a lot of different sites, so it's been a really useful tool for us, and it's also enabled our centralized web team to control a site where we know from experience with other departments they've been spending thousands commissioning external suppliers, so it's saved us a lot of money. So you can see there that we've got the different content types, and there's a lot of flexibility in terms of the styling, and it's got paragraphs plugged in as well, which is what Lucia mentioned before, which gives you a lot of flexibility.
Okay, onto subsites. These are smaller websites where they're brilliant because they sit on the main domain name. So it's saving you that cost of having to, host it elsewhere. We use these mainly to sell something, but the site will look different from the main site, but we still use like the header and the footer in line with the council website. And it also prevents services going off and spending and doing their own thing, which we always try to stop doing as a local authority. Examples that we've got here that we've done in the past. Last year we hosted the Open in Hoylake. So we had a lot of information to share with residents.
Yes, look, you've only got those appliances, you don't have anything else in here.
Someone else on the call then. And as you can see, it's quite a creative looking site. We've been sort of using a lot of images there in the background. We don't have that sort of flexibility with the main website. Cemeteries is another one, which their long-term goal is to sell more. So e-commerce is kind of at the forefront of their mind, but at the moment we're not quite there yet, but we still wanted them to have that independence. Children's social work, they wanted their own sort of recruitment area, so that it was a bit sort of what should you say, kinder on the eye for residents, instead of just looking at a council website. And lastly, the climate action. So when the emergency was announced, we struggled to find a place on the website, and it sort of moved to different departments. It went to planning, to regen, and all sorts of places, and in the end a new team was created, and they said, we'd like our own website, so what can you do for us? And we had very little budget to work with, so this was a perfect solution for them. And the hats off to the team, they keep their content really up to date as well. So yes, sorry, I'll carry on because I jumped ahead then.
Okay. So the next one, this came about something I'm going to talk about later, about sort of engaging with the community and talking to other councils and suppliers. A while ago in the product meeting, I was talking to, I think it was George from North Devon, mentioned that you can schedule your alert banners. So we had alert banners on the website, which are really useful for things like disruption to services, or if you've got planned maintenance. But the problem was a lot of our IT maintenance is out of hours. So if we were scheduling a banner, we had two options. Either we'd have to jump on in the evening or the weekend and take it down, or we could do it during working hours. And then a piece of work that would finish on Saturday, we might not take the banner down until Monday, so it doesn't look great once the thing has passed by. So I discovered that you can actually you can schedule them, which was a small thing, but it's made a really big difference to us because, for example, a few weeks ago we had a piece of work where we had to take down our council tax account for an update, and it was going to be down on a Saturday between 9 and 5. So we said to the team, okay, well, we'll schedule it in on Friday, and if everything goes according to plan, that will just drop off at 5 o'clock on Saturday. So it just looks a bit more up to date, and it just gives us a bit more flexibility. So you can schedule it to publish and to unpublish at any time that you want.
Onto preview links. These enable editors to send a draft web page for approval to your service without the web page being live or public. It's a really good solution for PDFs clogging up your inbox and taking the time out to actually find a way of converting your web page to a PDF or a screen grab. So we can now send just one URL to the service. It saves us a lot of time. As you can see on the screen, you just copy and paste that preview link. It expires after a month, and then you can just generate a new one. They'll know it's a draft because the background will be in a sort of shaded pink colour. You can also now create a preview link for multiple pages as well. So if you have a guide or a section that you need approval on, you can just send them the one link and they can just go through that section without having to send them multiple preview links. So we did have a bug where the one click for multiple pages wasn't working at one point. So we got together with a couple of councils on Slack, and it was eventually fixed by Stephen Cox.
So the next one is service content owners, service contact owners. So we've had difficulty identifying who owns particular content. So previously, there wasn't a specific field where you could put in the service contact who was responsible for that piece of content. Different councils were doing different things from when we were having conversations about it. We were using the revision notes, which was really messy because if you've got a page which has had lots of revisions, you'd have to trawl through to try and find out who the service contact was. So now there's actually a field in the content management system. When you're creating a page, you can add a service contact owner in there. And what it will do, you can set it up. You can just make a note of the owner in case you need to track them down in the future, or you can set it up with reviews. So if you see the screen here, you tick content reviewed, and then you can set a review date. So this example is update the council tax bands. So every March we contact the council tax team. We need to update them for the following year. So what this will do now is not only will we get a reminder email, but the service will get a reminder email as well. This is just going to save us so much time and hassle about knowing who these service content owners are. But it's also going to prompt them. So it saves us having to email them as well. So it's going to save us a lot of time and effort. So it's a really good tool for us.
Okay. Onto guides. Guides are sections of multiple pages about the same subject. They're split up into, they're basically large amounts of content that are split up into more bite-sized pages. It isn't a large document or a booklet. Examples that we've done here is help with the cost of living. So you can, it's like a step-by-step. You just press your next button to the next section. And then cemeteries have one for all their fees, which is quite a large section, but it did need to be split up into chunks. And this is a really good solution for us.
So the next one is known as content access by path. So previously in Drupal, when we set up authors and editors of pages, it wasn't possible to restrict which bits of the site they could edit. And a lot of councils had said it would be really useful if we could do this, and you could restrict them. So content access by path enables you to create a team or an individual. So in this case, it's our forward planning team who look after our local plan and our planning policy. And what you can do is you can put in which sections of the website they can edit. So it's really useful. It just kind of reduces that risk. And we don't have that many editors out in departments, but we know that a lot of councils do. So this is a really good way of giving you control over which bits of the site that people can edit. One example recently was we had a colleague in school admissions, and school admissions is a really busy part of the site from a content management point of view, because they're constantly updating their application dates. We have the 11+ in grammar schools, and they have an application form for that, and they have to explain the process, and so a lot of updates. And we were sending a lot of PDFs of pages kind of marked up with the changes. So what we've been able to do now is we've been able to set it up so that the person in that department who is responsible for the content, she now edits that on the website. And we've set it up a workflow as well. So initially, while she's learning the ropes, everything comes to us for approval. But hopefully further down the line, once she gets the hang of it, we can change her permission levels, and then she'll be able to publish directly. But she'll only be able to publish in the school admissions section, which is really useful for us.
Okay, on to publications. This is probably one where you might have a little desk party. It was a game changer for us. This organises large documents into a section called a publication. It displays a menu on the web page to the left, so the readers know where they are. It's very similar to gov.uk. Examples here are our council plan, our council tax explained booklet, and school admissions, which is quite heavy with content. They're a great way of eliminating PDFs, which are now deemed inaccessible on websites. So it's just been brilliant for us, because now we can offer that to a service to say, we're not going to publish your PDF, but we can do this for you. And like anything else, it does take time to build, but it's just so much worth it. It also solves the problem of making sure any outbound links can be fixed as well, because on PDFs, once they're on there, they're stuck there for forever. So it just helps to amend anything in the future.
So number 10, it's not a piece of functionality, it's just something that we've learned, which has really helped us, which is just collaborating with the community. So there's loads of different ways that you can get involved. So there's a LocalGov Drupal now is a community of lots of colleagues from councils who've got a lot of experience and a lot of knowledge, and a lot of people sort of dealing with the same issues day to day. You've also got the core team who are really knowledgeable, and then there's all of the suppliers who can offer a lot of expertise. So it's just really to say, the more that you put into it in terms of getting involved, we found the more you get out of it. So there's quite a few different ways to get involved. So there's the community meetup, which tend to be monthly. You can sign up for those on Luma via the website. That's a really good way of keeping up to date with what's going on, what's coming through in terms of new functionality, and you get colleagues on there from other councils doing show and tells about new things that they've developed. So we've learned quite a lot from those meetings, and also made a few contacts who we've worked with to develop things together. The newsletters are really good if you sign up for those. So they come out, I think, once a month, and they'll give you an update as well on what's going on in the community. So a really good way to keep in touch. And then one thing that we found really useful is the Slack community. So There's a lot of people in the community who are on there, and they've got different channels there with different for different projects and different kinds of help. So there's a technical channel, and then there's different ones. There's one for microsites, and what I find is generally it's really good for me because I'm really impatient. Generally get a response within an hour. Somebody will come on if you put a question on there, and we've had a lot of help via Slack. So if you're not using that, I'd say go on, have a look. I try and always try and answer other people's questions as well if I can help, and just try and get on there regularly and have a look at what's going on. There's also a series of working groups to help develop different areas of the platform. So I mentioned before, I was in a microsites group. There's an accessibility group, there's a content design group, there's the product group, and there's also one that was formed recently to move forward with events with a what's on section, which we're really interested in developing. So it's a really good way to get involved and to influence the way the platform's going. And in my experience, if you put a question on there, people really want to help, and you do get quite a quick reply. It's not a huge investment in time. I mean, I probably on average spend about 3 to 4 hours a month on these various things, and it's a really good kind of return on investment for that time. Just one example, recently I was on the meetup, and somebody mentioned about that when you delete media from the media library in Drupal, there's a separate file repository and it doesn't delete the file. And I didn't realize this was the case and this was going on until I looked at it, and we just had this massive pile of files from when the website went live that was getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and I was thinking about the carbon footprint, and it wasn't great having those files there. So I had a conversation with WebKerl, and we figured it out, and they installed a module that now it prompts us to delete the media from the media library. So the website's in a much better shape. But it was just a conversation that I heard in passing that I wouldn't have known about if I hadn't have been on the group. So it's really, you get to know, you get to hear about really useful things like that.
Okay, I know we said 10 things, but we've got an extra one that we remembered later on. We started off using the LocalGov Drupal videos on the YouTube channel. The training videos. These have been really helpful when we started out. I definitely recommend going on there and have a look. I believe they're going to be updated as well, or refreshed. Previously, we would have had to spend time creating our own user guides with loads of screen grabs, and which is really time consuming. So these have been a bit of a godsend to us to start off. They've also been well received by our other web editors that we've trained as well, because they're quite short in length, so you're not having to sort of take a lot of time out of your normal day to watch them, and it just means we can train them more quickly as well.
So I said at the beginning, there are a lot more than 10 ways that LocalGov Drupal has helped us improve our website. So just to mention some of the things that we're looking at in future. So we're looking at implementing step by step. So we've already done that for Blue Badge and applying for school places. We're looking at directories as well. So we've got one directory of the cemeteries. We're looking at creating a lot more of those. There's some improvements to the way images are created on the site, which is going on, which we're really interested in because we've had a few issues around those. So we're looking forward to that functionality coming out. And then there's a piece of functionality about cloning pages as well, where you can take a copy of the page and then edit it, which would be really useful. So yeah, that's it really. Some of the things are quite small, some of them are much bigger, but when you add them together, I think it shows, thinking back to where we come from January 2023, what a big difference all of those things have made when you add them up in terms of just saving time and making life easier for ourselves and our colleagues in the council. So that's it. Any questions?
Amazing. Thank you, Jamie. Thank you, Lucia. That was fab. Big fan of 10 things being 11. I think that's always a good thing to do. Classic. So we do have, we've got at least one question. I have one, but there was one also in the chat. So Sarah was asking, how do you decide which service area or projects can have their own subsites? I think you could equally say microsite as well, subsite, microsite. They're about to move to LocalGov Drupal and getting a lot of requests for subsites, but we don't want to make the website look just disjointed. Do you have criteria to meet or take on a case-by-case basis? Like, how do you approach that?
I mean, we do it on a case-by-case basis. So it would be down to kind of priority, really. I guess it would be the looking at what are our corporate priorities and what are the sort of higher volume areas of the site. So if it was somewhere that doesn't get much traffic and we had a number of requests, we'd probably prioritize that one. We were just talking about an example before we came on where we did children's social care one and now adult social care one. And we kind of thought, oh, hang on, we need to stop. Maybe we need to just have an overall recruitment one. So it's also about how it all fits together. So it's not being built piecemeal. But yeah, it's not a kind of a regimented process, but it tends to be on kind of how much traffic do they get and where do they fit in the priorities, and also have we got time, how busy are we at the moment, and you know, can we fit that in, and or it may be with the open, it's a time specific event, so it had to be done at a certain time, whereas other things might might be able to wait a bit longer.
Thanks, Jamie. I also linked to the microsites proposition on our doc site, which sort of has a series of questions that you can go through to help you with that.
Yeah, that's a really useful tool.
Yeah. A follow-up question. Actually, Jamie, would you stop sharing and then everyone will be able to see you a bit more easily? Yeah. Should be that blue button. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, there we go. Nice. Thank you.
Yeah.
Just so everyone could see you and Lucia. There we go. Yeah, we're back. We've got Lucia back as well. So Emma from Greenwich was asking, like, what's the difference between your microsites and subsites? And maybe Emma, if you can, I just check, is that from a technical point of view or from a more content governance?
Yeah, sort of how do they define which is which, and is there different functionality?
Okay.
So a microsite is a standalone website which sits on a separate instance of LocalGov Drupal. A subsite is within Wirral.gov. So we tend to, coming back to the proposition that Aaron mentioned, there are a series of questions in there, and we tend to make that decision. Ideally, we'd say, well, why can't it go on Wirral.gov? And they might say, well, it needs different branding. And so it depends on also, on the functionality. So the subsite will have whatever functionality we've got available on Wirral.gov. The microsite has service pages, news, and what's on. So there's a lot of confusion about the terminology, but I think the best way to think about it is the microsite is independent of your .gov site. Does that make sense?
Yeah, great. Thank you.
Thanks, Jamie. Angela, out of interest, what CMS did you use before, and were there any aspects which were better in that? I was going to ask a similar question, which was, are there any bugbears that you still have with, things that you want to be able to do? What came up in the slide deck was a lot of those little quality of life improvements for content editors. I thought, like scheduling and service contacts and preview links, things that take up a lot of time. So two related questions.
So we've been on Drupal since 2009, which is when I got involved with the website. So I've not actually worked with another CMS, but seeing it develop over time. I think we were the first authority in the UK outside the Mayor of London to use Drupal. It was quite a big, bold step to go to open source at the time. In terms of the functionality, a lot of those things, some of those things you'd think, wouldn't it be nice if you could do this? Other things are, oh wow, I'd never thought about that until somebody mentioned it. Going on the product call is really good. I'd say if you want to see what's coming through in terms of new functionality, go onto the product call and you can talk about the backlog and what's coming through. But a lot of those improvements are things that we may not have even thought of. Publications, PDFs is, I think, like most councils, it's just a nightmare for us. So having the publications is one part of the equation, but we don't have the resource to build all these publications. So we're still trying to find the solution for PDFs.
And Lucia, how about you? Are there any bugbears as a content designer you find with some day-to-day job?
It's a massive improvement for me personally. I don't miss anything about the previous CMS at all. This is just a different way of working now. It's more flexible. There's still features in there that I haven't used yet. I just haven't had time to play with them. So I'm still on a learning curve myself. And it's, how long have we had it? It's over a year, isn't it? I think.
Yeah. So coming up to 2 years now.
Yeah. So still loads to do. Especially on the subsites, because I've done a couple, but we've got about 4 more in the pipeline yet. And I'm only just starting to get the content from the services. So yeah, I just sort of hope to have the time to be a bit more creative with it.
One of the things that I find a lot easier compared to Drupal 7 is when you were slotting pages into the navigation, you had to go through a big long list of every page. Now you just type the page name in of the parent page and it slots it in, which just saves a lot of time and hassle.
Nice. It's the little things, isn't it?
Yeah.
So Maria was saying there, just to say, but just from picking up what's in the chat. So Maria from Bracknell Forest, who's been very chatty on this chat, which is lovely. So there are improvements to subsites on the way. There will be more opportunity to do things like branding. So we might find there's less need for microsites in certain circumstances. So I guess that's also, yeah, as subsites maybe evolves and matures, maybe that question, you know, the criteria for a microsite sort of changes a bit.
Yeah.
I had a question from your screen share, which to Lucia, you were showing the paragraphs as the first one, and you had this list of paragraphs, and I noticed there were a few custom ones.
Yeah.
Which you didn't talk about. I'm curious as to what those are and.
Yeah. They were more to do with the branding of the council, just very specific to the design that we wanted. So our own in-house developer got cracking on those so that we could use them. But they are, like you said, they're very bespoke to the council. I think you led on that side more, didn't you, than me?
Yeah, and there were a few things like we needed to embed Google Maps. So he created a custom paragraph where you can embed the Google Map and you just put the URL of the map in and it puts it on the page. And we had 1 or 2 other things. We have a benefits calculator. So we use a custom paragraph for that. We also use them for we use a recurring component for advertising on the website. So we used to use Can Digital and we stopped using them because we wanted more control, and we don't have many ads on there now, but it's really good because we can just publish it once, and then we use the recurring component and tell it which pages we need it to go on, and then if we need to unpublish it, we unpublish it once and it unpublishes from all of those pages.
Lovely. Interesting. Yeah, interesting that they're custom paragraphs. And then, sorry, is it a reusable component more for the advertising?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you just drop it into whichever pages you need.
Yeah.
Lovely. We're coming up to time, but I wondered if anyone else from the floor had any questions or wanted to proffer another improvement that they hadn't heard, but they thought, actually, for us, I'd also add this. I was thinking, and I'm totally putting you on the spot here, Maria, just because I know you're very active, whether from your point of view, there's anything that you would add to what you've heard from Jamie and Lucia.
Yeah, I was just going to say that was a brilliant presentation. I loved how you've sort of covered, I sort of explained, I'm going to get everyone to watch this when it's on YouTube. It sort of explained the community and in real practical terms, like what, the improvements on the website, but also the community. What you said about, sorry, this isn't answering your question, Aaron.
That's fine.
But what you said about there's things that if you do take the time to attend some of the meetings, and you have to kind of judge how much time you can afford to do that, but you will pick up things and it will be useful. So for an example, we pat ourselves on the back because we're always, not always, but we're in the top 10 of silk tide accessibility, so we think we're great, and obviously we are great and we do our best. But it was in an accessibility meeting that I discovered, just by screen sharing on a totally different topic, that there was like just a major thing that was not accessible, that wasn't being picked up, that we weren't doing, and it's now fixed, and it's through those kind of community meetings that it's really valuable. It's worth taking the time, to attend. It's a great. Yeah, I'm rambling, so but yeah, it's been good. Thank you so much, Jamie and Lucy. It's been really good.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Maria.